That intro gets me pumped up every time. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, back for another edition. Vamos a empezar en inglés o después en español of Facebook Live, YouTube Live. Welcome. Tonight we're talking about a new decision for the United States Supreme Court. To my friends in the media that requested interviews on this, my apologies. Crazy week. I couldn't get to very many of them, but we'll break it down for you right here, right now. So the U.S. Supreme Court came out and slapped us in the face. We've been getting a series of good news from the Biden administration week after week, the past month. Go Suns, absolutely OCL, hola Veronica. Nothing but great news we've been getting with the Suns victory and the Biden administration on U visas, admin closure coming back. Good, 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 good. With the good has to come a loss every now and again, right? We didn't win in 4 like we wanted against the Clippers, but we won. And here, immigration world under Biden, similarly, we're getting a lot of victories. Every now and again we get a loss. We got to talk about it. So I'm going to break that loss down for you tonight. The case held that anyone who is in detention that has been previously removed from the country and they are asking for a bond because they're in withholding only proceedings, they cannot get a bond from an immigration judge. That's a one-sentence synopsis. It'll take me 20 minutes to break down the nuances behind that. If you're here asking for asylum, you can still get a bond. The ruling is not that if you're asylum, you cannot get a bond. No, double negative. If you're in immigration detention, you have previously been deported, and then you find yourself back in the States saying, please don't deport me because I'm afraid to go back to my country of origin, that's the person that this case would negatively impact. So let's break it down. Someone removed, they go back to their country, let's call it country M for Mexico, and then they're carrying on with their life, trying to live their life. They get into a relationship with someone, that person's an abusive jerk. They mistreat them, they abuse them, they rape them. You go to the police aren't going to help you. What do? Well, you lived in the States before, you got family here. This person's now trying to kill you because you went to the cops, even though the cops aren't going to help, and you're in fear of your life. Well, you can come to the beacon of hope, United States of America, and when they detain you, they're going to say, you've been deported before, so we can reinstate that deportation and send you back to Mexico. But there is an international accord, international law essentially, that the U.S. respects, that if you ask for a reasonable fear interview because you're afraid to go back to your country of origin, you then have the right to have an asylum officer hear you out. And if you're found to have a reasonable fear, you're then granted an opportunity to apply for withholding of removal or protection under the Convention Against Torture. A higher level of asylum, a more difficult type of asylum, essentially, to win. And you're often detained. In the past, we could ask the immigration judge for a bond, where the immigration judge would have the discretion, usually after 6 months, to do an analysis. Are you a flight risk? Are you a danger? Will you show up to your court hearings? Do you have a sponsor? And that individual judge who went to law school, passed the bar, who's been a practicing attorney, who looks at the facts presented by the government and presented by the person detained, would then make a decision, yes to a bond, no to a bond. The U.S. Supreme Court said no more of that. Anyone that's in this withholding and removal only Convention Against Torture, they're held under a different statute. It's a technical decision, not under the regular statute which governs everybody else. Therefore, no immigration bond from a judge for someone in withholding only proceedings. Does that mean that nobody will get released from immigration detention. Not necessarily. So now, instead of me or our office requesting a bond with the immigration judge, we're going to request parole from ICE. Okay, we know the judge can't give us a bond, but hey, ICE, maybe you'll find it within your heart. Nobody laugh, please. But maybe you'll find it within your heart to release this person that's in fear of being tortured or killed upon their return to their country of origin. And instead of locking them up and treating them like a prisoner, let's give them an opportunity to be free and present their case on the outside. How much more difficult it is to prove to a judge that you're going to be tortured or persecuted upon return to your country of origin when you're detained, when you don't have access to a library, to experts, to reaching out to your family and friends to get letters, to get witnesses to show up. You have to do all that while you're in a prison. Now, technically, it's called a detention center. You're in a freaking prison. How can you present your case based on evidence that happened in a different country while you're detained in a prison in another country? You know what due process should require? That you have the opportunity to be released, to present your case while gathering all the evidence while you're on the outside with the assistance of an attorney to see whether or not you can stay in the country. But the U.S. Supreme Court said we're taking that away from the judges. No immigration judge, you can no longer grant bond to anyone in withholding only or convention against torture proceedings. Why? Because they've already been deported from this country. Their case is administratively final, and therefore their detention is held under a different statute than the statute that gives everybody else a right to have a bond hearing. 10 years from now is my hope that we look back on this as an archaic period where we relied on imprisoning and caging human beings under the guise of some sort of concept of justice, which makes no sense to me. Ridiculous. We can be better. We can figure out a better way. We can come up with a solution. Instead of keeping someone that was tortured, instead of keeping someone that was beaten, instead of keeping someone that was shot, that was stabbed in their country of origin in a prison, we can figure out a way to let them live as a human being, free, and present their case to an immigration judge. That's my hope. That's my goal, that we get rid of these immigration detention centers once and for all. Right? So that is the update, ladies and gents. If you have questions, comments, concerns on that case, I hear a lot of rumors floating around, nobody can get bond anymore. No, asylum people can't get bond anymore. False. Negative. Let's dispel those rumors. Do me a favor. If you know someone that's concerned about immigration, passionate about us, share this video if you're watching on the Face. If you're watching on the YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe, please. Get notified of next videos coming out. And as always, any questions you have, immigration, personal injury, criminal, drop them down there right there in the comments. I'll throw them on here just like this beautiful comment. The last time the Suns were in the playoffs, I was 12, 13 years old. And here we are again going to the NBA Finals. Does not get any more exciting than that. Drop your holas down below. Always love to see them. Always love to hear where you're watching from as well. So I'm going to switch to Español, pero sigue poniendo your pregunta in the language que tú quieres. Somos bilingües aquí. All right? So aquí estamos, comunidad. Estoy revisando el caso negativo que puso el Corte Suprema esta semana. Si hemos escuchado puras cosas positivas, la administración de Biden las últimas 3 semanas con las visa U's, por cerrar el caso administrativos. Tengo otros videos en mi página si quiere ver sobre eso. Pero a vez en cuando tenemos que explicar el negativo también. Pero aparte de explicar el negativo, es explicar a quién aplica y quién no aplica. Porque estoy escuchando muchos rumores. Mucha gente me está diciendo, abogado, qué triste que los que están pidiendo asilo ya no pueden aplicar por fianza. Mentiras. Mentiras, ¿verdad? Los Suns van a ganar el campeonato y gente que están pidiendo asilo sí pueden pedir una fianza en frente del juez de migración. La decisión del Corte Suprema era para esas personas que fueron deportados antes. No importa el año, 80, 90, 2000, tiene deportación en su archivo. Después decidió regresar al país porque tiene miedo de andar a su país de origen. Lo están intentando matar los pandillas, una pareja, el gobierno, y usted no quiere morir, so regresas al país que usted conozca y pides ayuda. Si hablas con un oficial de migración, ellos pueden decir, usted fue deportado antes, yo voy a hacer lo que se llama reinstate, es usar el mismo documento de deportación antes y deportar a usted otra vez. Pero usted diga, no, yo tengo miedo. Quiero una entrevista de miedo razonable. Entonces tiene que poner una cita con un oficial de asilo donde haga preguntas para determinar si usted presenta miedo razonable para quedar y pelear su caso aquí. Y si ganas probando que sí, usted tiene miedo razonable de regresar a su país de origen, usted ganó estar en proceso en frente del juez de withholding y Convention Against Torture. No es asilo. Es un nivel de asilo más duro. Es un nivel de asilo que no va a resultar ni en ciudadanía ni residencia. Y es posible que si ganas withholding or removal, no pueden deportar a usted a su país de origen, pero pueden deportar a otro país. So, es un remedio que no es un remedio que todos quieren, aunque la realidad es lo dejan las personas de aquí si ganan en la gran mayoría de casos. Esas personas, antes nosotros podíamos pedir una fianza y tenemos mucha gente. Muchos de nuestros amigos que están viendo ahorita no tienen miedo. Si ya salió, si ya ganamos la fianza, no estoy pensando que lo van a pedir que lo regrese a la cárcel o lo pide una moción de poner usted detenido otra vez. Ahorita, no he escuchado nada de eso, ojalá nada de eso pasa. Sigue viviendo sus vidas y seguimos presentándonos todas las cortes que nos va a dar el juez. Los que están detenidos hoy, si yo mando una petición a pedir fianza, el juez me va a negar. El juez va a decir, no, abogado, él salió un corte nuevo, una decisión nueva del Corte Suprema, no podemos dar fianza ya a los que tienen deportación antes y regresaron sin permiso. En ese grupo de personas, los jueces no tienen jurisdicción ya a dar una fianza. Aunque es razonable. Un juez que fue a escuela de leyes, estudió las leyes, va a escuchar la evidencia del gobierno, va a escuchar la evidencia de la persona, ese abogado, y va a determinar, ¿esa persona es un riesgo de la comunidad? ¿Esa persona va a aparecer en sus cortes, sí o no? Así debe ser. Eso se llama justicia. Eso se llama due process. Pero los jueces de Corte Suprema dijeron, no, bajo otra ley, ellos están detenidos sin chance de fianza. Pero no significa que tienen que seguir detenidos todos. Ahí siempre tienen su discreción de dejarlo salir una persona bajo lo que se llama parole. No es fianza con el juez, pero es ICE diciendo, mira, no queremos todo el mundo detenido. Usted puede ir a su casa, dar promesa de presentar todos sus cortes, poner un grillete, lo que sea, y usted puede presentar su caso afuera. So, seguimos intentando sacar gente, pero en medio de parole en vez de una fianza. So, no quiere que todos quiten el ánimo. Seguimos peleando. Hay muchas cosas positivas que estamos viendo. Los visa U's, excelentísima. En vez de 6 o 8 años de esperar en beneficio. Ojalá tenemos pronto permiso de trabajo y promesas de no ser deportados. Se llama acción diferida. Mociones de cerrar casos ya regresó y podemos poner esas mociones con el juez o los cortes de apelaciones. Cosas positivas que estamos viendo aquí en el mundo de migración. Pero como yo digo siempre el positivo, también a veces tenemos que explicar el negativo. Y eso fue el negativo a la sesión de Corte Suprema de esta semana. ¿Okay? Si tiene preguntas aquí puede ponerlo. Es tiempo de contestar preguntas. Si ustedes tienen comentarios también, siempre me gusta ver dónde está viendo y qué preguntas tienen ustedes. Si no está viendo en vivo, está bien, de todos modos, no todos los días, pero intenta responder a cada comentario que pongan, menos los haters. Los haters siguen con sus comentarios y ojalá disfrutan que los Suns siguen ganando. Así es, comunidad. Muchas gracias por estar aquí con nosotros otra vez. Si nos está viendo en Facebook, por favor, pone like y haga share del video. Si nos está viendo en YouTube, por favor, va ahí donde dice subscribe, poner el subscribe para que pueda ser informado de más videos en el futuro. También si tiene ideas de nuevos videos, también puede poner en los comentarios o me manda mensaje directo. Que tiene excelente jueves, excelente semana y aquí nos vemos pronto, comunidad.